Genshin Impact. Chances are that you've heard of this game before. It's one of the most successful gacha games released with a player base of around 50 million. And as of October 2021, the game has grossed over $2 billion. It's become so popular that even those who don't play gacha games are trying it out. Some play for free, while others give in to the urge to spend money in hopes of getting their favorite characters. Ganyu. In fact, even if you don't keep up with the latest news in gaming, chances are the words Genshin Impact have come up when browsing social media and online forums. You see, that's because the game has been in the spotlight for the past couple weeks. And it's not because of its massive success, major updates, or people arguing who best waifu is. The answer to that is Yuan Chu, by the way. The reason many people are talking about Genshin Impact is because of its 1-year anniversary. The game released on September 28, 2020. That's over a year of memories for players, and given how much more of the story there's left to cover, the journey is only beginning. Game anniversaries are very momentous occasions for players as it lets those reflect on the impact a game had on them. It may have helped with overcoming a difficult time in their life, or even formed new friendships. COVID was in full swing once Genshin Impact released, and I'm sure that many used it to help cope with the stress of staying indoors. One thing that's common with gacha games are the frequent events players can participate in. These sort of games are, by nature, very grindy and repetitive. By continually updating these games with new content, it brings players back every week, rewarding them with extra currency or useful materials. Sometimes companies will even hand out free 5-star characters depending on the occasion. And that's why many players look forward to the anniversaries of gacha games. What better day to celebrate than a game's anniversary? In the past, Genshin has been quite generous with their events. Many 4-star characters have been handed out for free, going as far as to allow players to choose from a select bunch. And in many cases, these characters are as good or even better than the 5 stars. It's safe to say that expectations were high for Mihoyo as the game approached its 1-year anniversary. Unfortunately, this is where things go from good to bad to ugly. Poor business decisions, censorship of opinions, review bombing, even attacking third parties who had no involvement with Mihoyo's decisions as a company. Today we'll be diving into what has to be Genshin Impact's most complicated story arcs. And believe me, it's not as black and white as you may think. It's important to first establish that for a majority of the community, Genshin Impact has been on a sort of slippery slope lately. Many news articles reporting the Genshin Impact controversy are solely talking about the anniversary rewards since that's the thing players are talking about. In some cases, the wording of these articles direct the blame more towards the community as opposed to Mihoyo. Some even use words such as entitled when describing Genshin's player base, which to some extent is true. You'll always have those few entitled people within a community. The problem arises when those outside the Genshin bubble look at these people as a representation of the entire community. But the conflict between Genshin Impact and its community started long before the anniversary rewards fiasco. Mihoyo has been at the center of many controversies. At times, it's due to unwarranted public outrage, such as being labeled as a Breath of the Wild ripoff. While Genshin Impact was clearly inspired by this game, there are many differences between the two. It's either that or trying to cancel a fictional character for the sins of her ancestors, or outing Mihoyo as racists, all because the game describes both dark-skinned characters as scary and exotic, unbeknownst to them that it's due to the former dressing like a punk star and the latter originating from the kingdom of Conria before its destruction. However, in the midst of these outlandish controversies are those built off of valid criticism and concerns, whether it be a lack of overall polish, anti-consumer decisions, or just plain greed. I don't want to spend too much time on this topic, so I'll go over some of the biggest issues with the game at the moment. First off, the weapon banner. Each banner has 2 5-star weapons, and when the player gets a 5-star, they have a 75% chance of it being one of the 2 featured weapons. And similar to the 50-50 odds on character banners, it will either be Weapon A or Weapon B. However, prior to version 2, there was no way to guarantee pulling the weapon you desired. This led to unlucky moments such as the infamous Staff of Homa summons video uploaded by user Tectone, who got 2 off-banner 5-star weapons, while also losing the 50-50 a total of 6 times.
Good? One spear? Are you fucking kidding me? Staff of Homa and Zhongli is my cause. Zhongli and Staff of Homa is my root motivation, and we're going to bring it home right.
Around $1,000 used, and no Staff of Homa to show for it. Eventually, Mihoyo did release a sort of pity feature called Epitome Invocation, allowing you to chart a course for whatever weapon you desired. But while this guarantees a 5-star of your choice, it requires you to lose the 50-50 not once, but twice. It's a feature that caters more towards whales or those who spend a reasonable amount of money on the game, as it can take up to 240 pulls to get the weapon of your choice. This wouldn't be so bad for the free-to-plays if it was possible to carry their fate points over, but each banner resets the system, requiring you to once again lose the 50-50 twice. Just this one simple fix would make the weapon banner a huge win for both the heavy spenders and the people who are playing for free. Mihoyo has also faced backlash with their most recently released 5-star characters, specifically Yoimiya, Ball, and Kokomi. Some are underwhelming, while others act in a way that makes them feel broken. As someone who plays Genshin Impact on and off, it's difficult for me to go into detail regarding each individual character, especially since ones such as Kokomi technically do play as advertised. Ball, on the other hand, is one worthy of discussion. Most players agree that Electro is one of the weakest elements in Genshin Impact due to the underwhelming reactions it produces, as well as the resonance buff received when 2 or more of the same element are within a party. At present, one of the only viable comps is using Cryo and Electro to create a superconduct reaction, and that's assuming that you have a main DPS dealing physical damage such as Eula. However, during Genshin Impact's beta test, players soon realized that Ball had great synergy with another Electro character, Beidou. The latter has a high energy cost for their elemental burst, something that Ball excels in providing. At the time of the beta test, both characters' elemental bursts worked with one another, meaning more possible team comps for players to use. But this detail was changed prior to the game's release, and it's no longer possible to activate Beidou's ability while in Ball's Q mode. Mihoyo faced plenty of backlash for this decision for allegedly releasing a character not working as advertised. But since this knowledge came from leaked footage of the beta, played by people who beforehand signed a non-disclosure agreement, Mihoyo technically didn't lie in its advertising. Now, if that was the whole story, I'd be more inclined to side with Mihoyo on this matter. However, when you look at Ball's C6 constellation description, it classifies the moves used when in her ult as normal, charged, and plunging attacks. According to Beidou's elemental burst description, her abilities are triggered when normal or charged attacks hit an opponent. Therefore, Ball should be capable of triggering Beidou's lightning discharge when in the Muso Ishin state. Ball's C6 description was abruptly changed following these issues. In one of Mihoyo's posts, they stated that while Ball's attacks are classified as normal attacks, the damage type dealt is elemental burst damage. That would also mean that the trigger for Beidou's ability isn't the hit, but damage type dealt. However, when used against an enemy that takes no damage, such as a shielded Abyss Mage, Beidou's lightning discharge still activates. So as far as I know, the actual reason behind why Ball doesn't work with Beidou isn't made clear. Though as said previously, I'm a noob when it comes to Genshin Impact's mechanics, so feel free to correct me in the comments section. Even if this description was an honest mistake on Mihoyo's part, it doesn't change the fact that many people spent money on this character for the sole purpose of pairing them with Beidou. It's even worse for people who chose to go for her C6, since we're talking about thousands of dollars worth of Genesis crystals. At this point, I'm not sure why they can't just fix this so that the two work together, especially since Electro is one of the weaker elements of Genshin Impact. It would be really scummy if this change was intended for the sake of pushing the sales of future Electro characters who will just so happen to have perfect synergy with Ball, such as Ye. But that's pure speculation, and I don't want to go around throwing accusations at Mihoyo until we get more information. The last topic I want to bring up in regards to problems with the game is Inazuma. In my opinion, the region itself was awesome. There are a lot of quests that have lasting impacts on the world, something that both Mondstadt and Liyue lacked. I remember finishing the main quest in Dragonspine expecting the reward to be something like the removal of the sheer cold effect, making exploration easier. That's why I can appreciate what they did with Inazuma's quests. Most of my criticism lies within this region's Archon quest. While it's not as bad as people are making it out to be, the overall story felt rushed, as if the developers planned to do more with it, but limited it to the standard length of Archon chapters. These are only some of the issues players are faced with. It doesn't include other things such as game-breaking bugs, lack of quality of life features, and the horrid artifact RNG system, something I plan to make a whole video on. But if there's one overarching problem to take away from all this, a problem that's the cause of many of the game's issues, it's a lack of communication. It feels as if Mihoyo isn't listening to the common complaints and instead pretends that there are no issues to begin with. Yet they are quick to respond to bugs such as Kokomi's infinite water walking. The sad part about this is that they choose to patch out the glitches that arguably improve the player's experience, while also ignoring bugs that, unless fixed, ruin the player's experience. Their priorities are completely messed up. And what's sad about it is, if Kokomi had a passive allowing her to walk on water at all times, she would suddenly be a wanted character. What she lacked in combat would be made up for in exploration, and before you say it would break the game, we already have things such as Kaya's Ice Bridge and Ayaka's Sprint. And remember that bit with Mihoyo's explanation of how Ball's ult works? Not once did they mention Beidou, and that was the main reason players complained about her C6 text. Well, that was a lot to cover. We haven't even gotten into the anniversary rewards yet. I do apologize for that, but it was necessary since criticism of Mihoyo started long before the anniversary. That was just the straw that broke the camel's back. Now that we know the events leading up to the 1-year anniversary of Genshin Impact, it's time to discuss the game's rewards. Or to be more specific, the lack of rewards. Prior to the game's anniversary, the internet was flooded with speculation on what Mihoyo's plans were and how it would affect Genshin Impact as a whole. Some expected a free character similar to the Lantern Rite event, while others kept their expectations low. And even those people weren't prepared for the disaster that was the Genshin Impact Anniversary. The first news arrived on September 20th, with an official post by Mihoyo. It addresses the upcoming anniversary of the game while giving players a brief look at the rewards. Now, at first glance, this looks like a lot, but let's break each one down. Of all the events listed, only one has guaranteed rewards, specifically the Unforgettable Journey, where the player is given Primogems for watching a short video of their journey through Teyvat. The second web event listed, A Message in Time, requires players to create their own anniversary cards for the chance to receive a Blessing of the Welkin Moon Pass. Honestly, this is a very good reward since the player will get an additional 90 Primogems per day for 30 days, and if we include the initial gift of 300 Genesis Crystals, that's a total of 3,000 Primogems in 1 month. But remember that this isn't a guaranteed reward. Players have a 10% chance to actually win this. The other 90% of players instead get 100,000 Mora. Now, that might sound like a lot to some people, but trust me, it isn't. Things get even worse with the last 4 quote-unquote events. In reality, these are not events, they are competitions. The rewards shown are only given to a handful of players. The Recording Your Anniversary Memories and Let's Solve Word Puzzles give a measly 100 Primogems to 1,000 winners. You know, of the millions of players the game has. Meanwhile, the prizes for the art repost raffle and cosplay submission include expensive items such as an iPhone 13 Pro Max and Apple AirPods. You know, in a game played by millions of people. Mihoyo is essentially rewarding players by telling them to shamelessly advertise their game for the chance to get something. It's literally gacha prizes for the 1-year anniversary of a gacha game. And the worst part is, most of these prizes aren't even worth it. The only one worth going for is the Welkin Moon Pass, and that's assuming you beat the 1 in 10 odds. And Mihoyo doesn't seem to be aware of how expensive cosplaying can be, especially if someone is trying to win a contest. Let's just say that someone does win. Chances are that it would have cost more money to make the outfit than it would have to just, purchase a pair of Apple AirPods. What's even worse about these raffles are the small amount of Primogems you have almost no chance of actually winning. It costs 160 to do a single pull in Genshin Impact. So you're not even getting enough to do a wish. 1 day of the Welkin Pass almost gives you the same amount, and that goes on for 30 days and is considered the best purchase for a low spender. If that's not bad enough, then think about this. Whenever the servers go down for maintenance, players are given an average of 300 Primogems as a form of compensation. You are getting more Primogems here compared to the rewards of the game's 1-year anniversary. Mihoyo's way of thinking the players is essentially demanding free promotion for the chance to win mediocre rewards, or ones that people have no chance of winning whatsoever. And while I did enjoy the Anniversary Theater as there was some sentimental value to it, remember when I told you the reward for watching it was some Primogems? You get a grand total of 40 for doing this. Thanks, Mihoyo. By far the best anniversary reward is the in-game Passage of Clouds and Stars event, where logging in daily for a week gives you a total of 80,000 Mora, 18 Mystic Enhancement Ore, 8 Hero's Wit, and 10 Intertwined Fates. Each Intertwined Fate allows you to do 1 wish on the character or weapon banner, so that's the equivalent of 1600 Primogems. Except there's one problem. This is a direct copy and paste of the Lantern Raid event, an event that not only gave you this, but also allowed players to choose any of the shown 4-star characters for free. And let me tell you, some of these 4 stars are really good. Now, for the sake of fairness, I do want to point out that the Lantern Rite is based on real-world Chinese New Year, one of the most important holidays in China, but when you're talking about the 1-year anniversary of a game, you'd expect the rewards to be at least as good as past ones. In my opinion, Mihoyo should have at least given 40 to 50 wishes worth of fates, along with a choice of any 4-star character. Best case scenario, they let players either choose from one of the standard 5-star characters, or get 40 to 50 wishes. It's not that difficult to get a 5-star character, since completing the story quests and keeping up with the events should get you enough wishes to reach pity at least once. The hard part in doing this, especially if you're free to play, is 1, getting a 5-star character you wanted, and 2, in late game it's much more challenging to get Primogems, and the only method to do so comes from daily commissions, events, Spiral Abyss, or spending money. Sure, you may have finally gotten a 5-star, but most of your Primogems are now gone. Giving players the chance to get a standard 5-star character of their choice, characters that are always available, is very fair in my opinion. Plus, most characters people want are the ones on the character event banner, and if someone's smart enough to know that it's better to use Primogems on the character event banner, most standard 5 stars they get will be accidents. That also means that someone who already has all the standard 5-star characters could instead get 40 to 50 wishes that they could then save for a later date. Mihoyo is so obsessed with free advertisement for the game, but this would be the perfect way to draw in new players. But the fact that they don't even let you choose from the pool of 4 stars is beyond disappointing. This brings us to the second part of this compelling arc. The community's response. Salt and betrayal. And lots of Chi-Chi fallen. Following Mihoyo's anniversary post, the company received heavy but deserved backlash. Most people were unhappy with the lack of rewards, and Genshin Impact soon became a widespread topic among the internet. Seeing everyone's frustration was understandable given the situation, and while there definitely were those who set their expectations too high, the fact that even people who didn't expect much to begin with were disappointed shows just how out of touch Mihoyo is with their fans. Even if you think wanting a free 5-star is too greedy or entitled, the fact that players can't even choose from a selection of 4 stars makes it even worse. Chances are that most watching this video already know of the review bombing incident. The game was suddenly flooded with 1-star reviews on app stores such as Google Play, and this even extended outside of Genshin Impact to other games affiliated with Mihoyo, even ones that had nothing to do with the company. And this is where I feel like some of the articles have blown the situation way out of proportion, specifically with the alleged review bombing of games outside of Mihoyo. The way some of these articles are worded makes it seem that a huge chunk of the community is targeting these games, while in reality it's only a small handful of reviews. Plus, it's highly likely that the people who posted these don't even play the game and are solely doing it to troll.
Here's another one that's also upvoted here. You can see that this is probably people memeing at this point here. The anniversary reviews are bad. I blame it on Google Classroom. Again, after the article was published here and other things going down, people are coming here to troll. This is all afterwards, and, you know, people are freaking trolls on the internet. Can you really say that one was hit the hardest? When there's only like 3, 4, 5 review bombs on that? You cannot say it's the Genshin community when the community is only 5-ish or so trolls.
But the same can't be said for Mihoyo's other games, as the ones targeting them are most certainly the Genshin Impact community. And I think it's disgusting. There's always going to be that 1% of a community who makes the rest look bad, and it's embarrassing to see this. Genshin Impact may have been made by Mihoyo, but that doesn't mean that the same team is in charge of the other games. By doing so, you're essentially taking out your anger on those not responsible for the anniversary rewards and ruining the reputation of these games. If you have problems with Genshin Impact, that's something to bring up with the Genshin Impact team. This leads into the review bombing of Genshin Impact itself. Normally, I'm not a fan of this sort of thing, but in this situation, I feel it's justified. A lot of people are assuming that it's solely due to the anniversary rewards and call the fanbase things such as entitled. But, as I said previously, Mihoyo was already facing criticism regarding their game. Fans have been bottling up their frustrations for a long time now, and it's just that the anniversary rewards were the final straw. So, how did Mihoyo handle this? Not well, apparently. Threads complaining about the state of the anniversary were swiftly deleted from their forums, and players were banned from Genshin Impact's official Discord. Allegedly. I don't want to state this as if it's factual information, since the only way for me to know is if I personally saw these threads before they were deleted, and it's kind of hard to look for evidence to confirm this happened since the posts in question, don't exist anymore. Plus, I'm sure that among these deleted posts were many people making death threats, which should be deleted. If there's anyone who firsthand experienced having their post deleted, then feel free to leave a comment below. I'm interested in what you have to say. Point is, if Mihoyo was deleting valid criticism on their official threads and Discord, it even further justifies the review bombing. Players aren't being given the right to voice their concerns on the matter, and what better way to counteract this than going after the game itself? Recently, a lot of these reviews have been deleted by Google under the reasoning of them being bot reviews, and many people believe this to be Mihoyo damage controlling, though to be perfectly honest, I'm sure that a lot of them are bots. But for every fake review, there are many others that bring up valid criticism to back up the score. But that doesn't mean fans stopped protesting. They found ways to work around the system and complain in a way that's not toxic. One of the best memes to come from this whole fiasco is the Chi-Chi Fallen emoji spamming in their official Discord. And I love this because it's a great example of rebellious behavior without being hateful. Unfortunately, as of writing the script though, it appears that even that has been dealt with by the moderators, as it's now impossible to post these stickers in the chat. Other forms of protest include people trolling in the art contest by submitting awful artwork, which I think is amazing. What I don't think is amazing is the constant harassment of the game's voice actors. And this not only relates to the Genshin Impact Anniversary. In fact, the Chinese voice actor playing Kokomi had to restrict her live streams after getting so much hate. This is because Kokomi is considered one of the worst 5 stars in the game, and for some reason fans chose to harass her voice actor, even though she has nothing to do with Kokomi's kit. Stuff like this is why people look down on the Genshin Impact community, and it's something that's unfortunately never going to go away. But this is where things take a very interesting turn. The aftermath of the Genshin Impact Anniversary. On September 29, 2021, GamesRadar released an article after allegedly getting a response from Mihoyo regarding the anniversary. I say allegedly because, while many articles of this exist, all reference the one posted by GamesRadar. So whether the company actually responded or not is something that only they would know. According to them, Mihoyo has been paying close attention to various feedback regarding Genshin Impact's anniversary and have already come up with more celebrations, such as the concert and thank you gifts. This was a big deal because it was the first time Mihoyo addressed the situation after over a week of silence. In fact, on the same day of this article, players were given 400 Primogems along with a pair of wings for their character. This was one of 4 gifts that were to be given over the course of the next 4 days. Another 400 Primogems and 2 resin were given on days 2 and 3, with day 4 including 400 more gems and a piece of furniture that could be placed in your Serena teapot. Mihoyo never said anything about these rewards in their previous posts, so these likely happened because of the Genshin Impact review bombing. Overall, a lot of players were happy with this as it felt like Mihoyo was finally listening. And as much as I want to say that it ended there, it didn't. It didn't take long for people to realize that these gifts were most likely part of a concert bundle that Mihoyo was planning to sell. In one of the company's older posts, they mentioned a new bundle being added to the shop in the 2.1 update called Boundless Symphony. Purchasing this gives the player 1,000 Primogems, a special name card, a piece of furnishing, and Wind Glider, the wings of poetic melodies. Given the naming of this item, it's obvious that this was being released to promote the upcoming Genshin concert. And if you look at the design of the Wind Glider received in the mail, it's obviously the one that was planned for the bundle. This means that Mihoyo took this bundle that they had planned to sell, reworked it a bit, changed the name of the glider, and just slapped it on the list of anniversary rewards. This just screams damage control, and the fact that Mihoyo themselves don't address it is ridiculous. Even if they were planning to sell this and later decided to just give it to the players for free, as long as they apologized for the state of the anniversary, it would have made the situation way better. At this point, the biggest problem the community has with Genshin Impact isn't the rewards, it's the fact that there's no proper communication. Issues with broken characters and other bugs continue to plague the game, yet Mihoyo is more worried about the trivial things that don't really affect the player's experience. What's the point of adding a survey if you don't actually take the advice of the people who keep your game alive? But to be honest, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't bummed about the rewards. Don't get me wrong, communication continues to be the underlying issue, but the community deserves more. It's what made Genshin Impact so successful. The game reportedly surpassed 1 billion in revenue in only 6 months, with one of the newest characters taking the #1 spot on banner sales. From what I've read online, the company spent around $10 million for 40 custom Twitter hashtag emojis in celebration of the game's anniversary. That's only a small fraction of the amount they made. What I think they should have done was increase the Intertwined Fates number from the login event to 20, while adding an additional 0 behind the other rewards. Then, give each player 1 month's worth of the Welcome Pass, so in total that would amount to almost 40 wishes. And finally, give players the choice of any 4-star character. You don't even have to hand out a free 5-star. This would be more than enough for most people. Lots of gacha games are fairly generous with their anniversary events. In fact, one of the ones I often see praised is Honkai Impact 3rd, another game made by Mihoyo. So, where does this leave us? It's been well over a week since the game's anniversary, and already people seem to be moving on. One thing that does irritate me about the whole situation is that ever since Mihoyo's attempt of damage control, it feels as if the majority's opinion has suddenly shifted from it being okay to talk about the anniversary to, oh, get over it. But this is something that happens all the time on the internet. A company or person does something controversial, the internet latches onto it for a couple weeks since it's the cool thing to do, and then they forget all about it once it becomes quote-unquote old news. Even if it's no longer a trendy topic, that doesn't mean that people can't still criticize them for their poor handling of the situation. And it's likely that Mihoyo's future decisions when it comes to Genshin Impact will be based off of what transpired during these past few weeks. All this is them testing the waters to see how much they can get away with while continuing to milk the fanbase dry. And I'm sure you've seen people who have gone on and on about quitting Genshin Impact because of this. Let's be honest though, most who say they're going to quit probably won't. At best, they may stop playing the game for a couple months until one of the next big updates or a character banner that they'll want. It's also not fair to say that people who continue to play Genshin Impact don't have the right to criticize the game. Most people who are giving the company backlash are doing it because they genuinely want to see the game succeed. And it's also important to separate the anniversary rewards drama with the game itself. I know that the latter still has plenty of issues, but people still have the right to enjoy the game. And it's not like the anniversary only brought us bad things. From what I've heard, the concert was really good, and if you're disliking it just because of the rewards, then you need to grow up. It might not be an in-game reward, but organizing something like this would have cost Mihoyo a lot of money, and players get to watch it for free. I also really liked the recent Moonlight Merriment event since it gave players a bunch of different activities. My only real gripe with it is that it once again shows Mihoyo's greedy side. One part of the event involves finding Mist Moon chests and Moon Chase charms, and according to one of the NPCs, the latter can be exchanged for rewards. However, as of writing the script, there's a day left in the event and no shop to trade these in has opened. It's likely that Mihoyo threw them in only so that there was more to collect, and they didn't like the thought of having all of them be chests filled with rewards. You only get 500 Primogems in total from the event, so I don't see why it's such a big deal. From what I've been told online, there were no plans to have a shop to begin with, so the NPC is likely talking about the rewards you get for percent completion. But exchanging suggests that you lose something in order to gain, so it's another issue with communication. Anyways, that's the Genshin Impact Anniversary Controversy. I thank you for watching this video and hope you enjoyed it. This turned out to be a massive project because I wanted to be as thorough and unbiased as possible. So if you considered subscribing to the channel, it would mean a lot. I want to make Genshin Impact content a big part of the channel moving forward, so look forward to the next video. I'll most likely be talking about why Genshin Impact's artifact system is rigged. That's going to be a real fun video to make, /sarcasm. And don't worry, because more Zelda content is on the way. I've been NintendoBlackCrisis, and I'll see you all next time.